accessibility to the arts, especially growing up in the inner city, is really important to me. Art for everyone. So creating work where everybody could kind of partake in the creative process and the creation of it is really important to me, and why I think I'm kind of an artist for the people, and why I'm so embedded with the community, because we are together in all of these murals and all of these experiences. I mean, that's what drives it, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to be a part of.
Guys, we have such a special episode for you today of the Dipped podcast. We are in beautiful little Tokyo in downtown Los Angeles, Southern California, and I would love for our very special guest on today's episode to introduce himself. Please tell the people who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's up? This is Robert Vargas. I am an artist based here in downtown LA, born and raised just over the bridge here in Boyle Heights, and can't remember a day when I wasn't painting.
Yeah, amazing. In fact, actually, this beautiful work of art right back here, can you tell us who created and put that up?
Yes, we're here just below my LA Rising mural featuring Dodger Shohei Ohtani, which really kind of kicked things off here in Little Tokyo, and really kind of was a mural that I created to show support for the AAPI community and, of course, the Japanese American community here. Growing up in Boyle Heights, we have such a close affinity with the Japanese community because we live together there. Japanese American, Mexican American, Russian, Polish, Jew, of course. So there's a really real melting pot in that original neighborhood there, and of course Little Tokyo is kind of an extension of that. So painting this mural at a time when it was really, people were curious. Not everyone had really seen what Shohei was able to do. So this kind of gave people permission to also get behind the team. And while I was painting it, I mean, there was a lot of things going on there.
Oh, dang. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess some more backstory on, let's start from the beginning. So how long have you been either just because have you been doing murals the whole time, or I guess what was the evolution from I enjoy putting color on and creating a vision out of something to, ending up to doing a 3-5 story mural?
Honestly, someone also asked me recently, when did I get my start in the world of art? And I said I was born.
Wow.
I never imagined doing anything else right from the get-go. I knew exactly that this was what I wanted to do. The first mark I made was my first love. And my first mural came about when I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
And it was actually on a trophy shop right off of First Street in Boyle Heights. And so my earliest roots with murals actually came from kind of in the sports world.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been painting my whole life.
That's beautiful. And what was that first experience like, putting that very first mural up? Did the task seem daunting, or was it?
No. I grew up on a street called City View Avenue, where my front porch faced downtown LA and my back porch faced Dodger Stadium. So to marry those two kind of childhood memories, especially here in Little Tokyo, was a real dream. But to start, I mean, like I said, I grew up in an area where my periphery was the DTLA skyline. I think I was destined to dream big and paint bigger.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I was also curious because, I mean, you were talking about bridging the gap of art and the Dodgers. What's your earliest memory of the Dodgers, growing up? Because I feel it's something that us people in Southern California is just it's like water for us,
Yeah, for me, the earliest memories with the Dodgers are being able to hear the stadium crowd, even sometimes felt like you could hear it all the way into, like, in my neighborhood, especially on the nights when like the sound feels like it carried, especially when they were doing well, or of course on Friday nights for the big fireworks shows.
Yeah.
You could see the whole show from my back porch.
Yeah.
Those were very vivid memories, and then of course the memories of Fernando Valenzuela actually came to my school, my elementary school, to visit a couple of years in a row when all of that was going on, and got to meet him at an early age, and that left an impression on me.
Yeah, that's really an amazing kind of like time when you're kind of like just, I mean, when you're, you know, you can hear the sound of like the stadium from where you're at, you know. And then I guess the follow-up question is, because we were just talking before we hopped on the podcast that you went to the Tokyo series, so it must be such a wild like thing to think about your childhood self having those like memories and visions, and then having, you know, a seat at like the game in Tokyo and kind of like experience that. How was that for you?
Going to Tokyo, you know, I've done a lot of things in the Japanese community, and of course I've been to Japan several times. But to go there under the banner of Dodger Blue, and being able to actually go there to paint a mural of Ohtani in his hometown of Oshu, Iwate, and commissioned for that was really cool, because last year I kicked off the season unveiling this mural behind me the day before the season, and then this year doing the same, kicking off the season a day before with the mural there. Yeah. And just to see the community there coming together, and everybody there know about this mural. I mean, this is almost like the most famous mural in Japan, even though it's here.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw where pictures where you're like signing like a framed picture of the mural, and then kind of just the interaction between your Japanese fans.
Hi. It's I mean, it's kind of like an ambassadorship, you know, like these murals. I mean, this mural in particular, and the Fernando Valenzuela murals, were really born of wanting to show representation and show unity. That's really at the heart of it. And of course, what Fernando Valenzuela did for the Mexican American Latino community back in the day, it is what Ohtani is doing for the Japanese American community and the API community here. So it's there's a real kind of story there. So to be able to go to Japan and be there in Oshu in this community that felt a lot like this, and then be able to kind of give back, and for them to know that they're also like considered, and I went all the way there. Yeah, because it's not an easy place.
It's not easy to
get
to.
No,
like you probably had to like take a train, and it's like local.
Yeah, it was about 2.5 hours out north of Tokyo. It was snowing when I got there.
Oh, it was snowing.
But it was rad. It was all part of it.
Oh yeah, because it was like indoor. I was actually curious. Like, did you have to bring your own paints? Did you have to go?
No, that's all supplied there. I mean, I let them know what I need, but it was I mixed a lot of it in the moment.
Yeah,
and
just riding the feel. I guess a follow-up question of that, because I mean, like, we're talking so much about the synergy of, like, you know, the people of Boyle Heights and the Japanese American community. Can you describe like your earliest moment of being introduced to like the Japanese American community or Japanese culture? Because it seems like you're like, I don't know, it just must be like you must be like above cloud nine in terms of like how your life and career has come from just being a kid from Boyle Heights and seeing all this happen before you. You know?
Yeah, I mean, having neighbors that were Japanese, elders that lived nearby, and knowing them, also frequenting Otomi-san right here on First Street, which is the oldest Japanese restaurant in Los Angeles, which still is in Boyle Heights, and then coming here and taking classes with doing Japanese kanji, and working with Sumi at a really young age. I was about 5-6 years old, and doing taking courses which now in some of the larger black and white portraits that I'm
Yeah.
known for, a lot of those are done in sumi ink.
Wow.
So it really stuck, and that kind of language of mark making kind of continues to permeate in my work.
Oh, most definitely. Because I've always wondered on like when you do like the I saw where you were in like a sushi restaurant and you did like the portrait.
That's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah, but I was wondering if that was no. I wasn't talking about the shoyu, but I was talking about like how you can like use such like very like it's calligraphy ink, correct?
Oh, hi. Yeah.
So like
it's being in the moment, working with when I was in Japan, there was an impromptu moment where I was talking to the people across, and they had recognized me for the mural here. So we started talking, and then I just picked up the hashi, the chopstick, and the shoyu, and then just did a quick 90-second portrait on the spot.
90 seconds.
That kind of had everybody like stoked.
Yeah, it was just so impressive. Like, and especially I love the reaction of like Japanese people when they see something amazing. They're like, and they get like so much, and they're just like it's pure magic.
But you know what? It's honest. It's authentic, and sure the medium is kind of primitive and it's simple, but it's not even about that. It's not even about trying to impress them. It's literally about the exchange, the cultural exchange, being in the moment, just having fun, and I guess playing with my food into a living. Thanks, Mom, for letting me be me.
That's funny. So you had mentioned that like you took some classes here. Like, as you developed as an artist, were you seeking out like ways and courses to kind of hone or develop your skills? Or I guess what was the learning process for you of just starting out, of like, you realize this is what you want to do, you have an affinity towards it. I guess how active were you in kind of developing those skills?
I paint and draw every day, so I'm completely invested and obsessed with my with learning, actually. So definitely invested in constantly not only improving certain techniques, but just learning new ways of articulating and conveying moods and thoughts. And not limiting yourself to one thing. I mean, even just painting my murals, they're all freehand, no grids, no projections. So I'm very much in the moment in everything that I do. So constantly, not only hopefully advancing my work, but also advancing the collective of Los Angeles art. I'm pleased to be a part of that canon of LA artists.
Amazing.
Good.
Was it natural for you to do art every day, or was it something that you're just like,
it's something I'm obsessed with. At an early age. And, I think we're all born artists in our own way. I mean, Picasso, famously said so as well. But I think that painting and drawing is like fundamental for all of us to be able to express ourselves. Before even speech, we're on the ground scribbling and making marks, making sounds. But I think that some of us want to take it further and are completely consumed with everything that is connected to it. And I don't think any work will ever be complete, or or the hunger to continue to learn will ever be done until we're done.
That's pretty exciting, huh? Just knowing that like you can continue on this journey with art and like continue creating. And
especially when you're able to not only create work here at home, which is always important to me, especially the kind of messages I put out because it is home base, but also being able to take the work around the world and to also connect on a very grassroots level by being embedded in the community. I kind of liken myself to a little bit of a kind of like Anthony Bourdain, but of art, where when I go somewhere, I don't go in with like a preconceived idea of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to paint, and without any thought to the people that are there. I go there digest the food, have the conversations, immerse myself in the culture, and then let that inform my process. And then once I wrap my head around why I'm doing it, then I know how I'm going to do it. And the image just kind of comes together like a stream of consciousness.
Wow.
Amazing.
When did you realize that there is a process that works best for you when you're, going to different places, and you realize, immersing myself completely is a big piece in me creating,
I mean, that's just being a student of life. That's just wanting to, that's just being inspired, equally inspired by the people that I paint, and wanting to learn more about them, instead of just putting my brand everywhere without thought to the community in which has to live with it once we leave. But I kind of create work that mirrors the community in which these murals live.
Yeah, I wanted to ask more about how you developed your style, because when I look at a lot of the people in your murals, one thing that I guess really stands out to me is there's it's almost like a quiet strength, or a resilience with a bit of hope. I see these complex emotions in the people that you put up, and it's almost literally you just kind of see a quiet perseverance in every person that you put, and even there's just almost a subtlety of these really human characteristics. How did you kind of come to develop that particular style, or to present that?
Well, I kind of veer away from the idea of calling it a style for me, just so that it doesn't seem formulated. I think if there was any kind of train of thought there, if any, is just being human, and reflecting the humanity also inside of me in some of these works. There's as much me in these paintings as there is the person that I'm painting.
Let's see.
So, but the opportunity where a platform like this is more than just having Robert Vargas art up on the wall, but it's about having something to say when you have that platform. There's a lot of work out there, but not much to say. So really wrapping yourself around what the story arc is behind the piece. I mean, this piece especially has I think about the story arc, and there's a before and an after to the static image. This is just the static image in this story. And this one in particular, with the AR component, augmented reality, literally has a before and after effect for the static image.
Yeah, how did that come into play? I guess I'd love to just learn more about how this piece came together, how even it ended up because I have no idea how murals of that scale work, or if it's
well, they're all different. I think everybody has their own approach. Again, with this one, as we all love the Dodgers, through and through, mandatory. But underneath it all, this is really about representation. And creating this piece, or thinking about this piece and really kind of conceptualizing it, I brought this piece to the hotel. And this was a project that I wanted to do. And then we had our negotiations and talked a little bit about it. But I mean, what was there to really think about once they knew where I was coming from? And then of course painting it freehand, no grids, no projections, and that surface is pretty it's pretty porous. So going painting it with the brush in the rain, in the heat, in about 9 days from beginning to end.
9 days. Wow.
Painting that in 9 days, and then still stopping to do the interviews, because it's also important to talk about why the piece exists, why I'm painting it, why this podcast exists, right? Because the intention is so important. And at the time, I will say, There were people when I was painting it who were commenting
What?
and saying things like, "Why paint a foreign-born player? Why paint someone who hasn't done anything in a Dodger uniform? He won't even speak English to his teammates." Those are the same people that I'm sure were at the parade. With quiet, but but I screenshot all that, so
There you go.
yeah,
Forget.
Right here.
I know exactly who
They're
you
just like
are.
loading up.
So funny.
Then we're gonna load it up right after this.
Just recite
Yeah.
all the names.
Yeah.
Find
No,
the
but
names in the
but
description.
things like that, and wanting to broaden the horizon, and that's
Open
know?
the aperture.
Yeah.
I would ask too, like you had mentioned, even as you were working on that piece, I guess the resistance from whether it be people or factors. How has it been for you, I guess, overcoming that? Do you feel like, because you're coming from the perspective and place that you're coming from through your journey, kind of pursuing your artistic career, have you felt a lot of like
Resistance,
pushback or
tension.
resistance in that way? Or?
That being said, that was like 1%.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
it was almost 100% support here, and even if there was anything else, it would really just kind of roll off my back because it's
Not the point.
it's much bigger than that. The piece is much bigger than me. So it's also stripped of ego as well, because there's so much. Like, had I stopped, like when I started painting this, maybe 3 days into the mural, the whole interpreter situation started hit
kind
the
of
fan,
bugging
and the
out.
same people that interviewed me the first day and were stoked on it were now saying, "Do you think that this now taints the image?
Yeah.
Should you stop?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Should you think
Wow.
you think we should just kind of like wait it out?"
Yeah, like-
People from the city were saying that,
Yeah.
even
Interesting.
like city
Yeah.
officials. And I was like, I mean, what were the optics of that? Had I said, maybe I don't even know if
Like-
I support him. Well, if you follow who Shohei has been these last 8 years, then you know what he's about, both on and off the field. And I stuck by it and said, no, we are having an unveiling on this day,
Nice.
and I support him 100%. And here we are.
Yeah,
We're
that's
champions.
Yeah.
it's awesome that you.
Yeah, when you're like the conduit for this, like these forms of expression and sharing these like ideas and stories through your art, what is the feeling having executed the vision and then leaving it for the community? Like this, for example, millions of people continue to see this, and they feel something, they see something. It's like, I feel like it has a powerful energy to it for Los Angeles, for the community, for worldwide, for how does that feel to kind of be that?
It's rewarding to see how people develop a relationship with the wall and with the space. I mean, this mural in particular, how it's transcended Little Tokyo and really kind of also gave permission to the community to really wear this on their chest and be really proud of it, because he's larger than life here. That's really rewarding. And of course, being in Oshu, places like that, where they recognize the mural and what it means for them, that's what it's about. It's really what it's about.
When was the first time you realized that like your art can have such an impact on people?
Early on. Early on, before the murals, and like I said, I've been painting murals since I was 10, but before that, I think even like in school, like if I was drawing, like people would stop, other artists would stop and watch. And I think it was less about the ego and less about like I'm performing, or because I never think of it that way, but it was an exchange. It was an energy exchange, and just being in the space together, we were all a part of that. Even if I was the one painting, we were all part of that exchange. and that's what I kind of bottle up and take with me around the world whenever I'm somewhere. I could be in Paris or London or something and painting a mural there in town, but I'll still make some time to go into the city center and do some quick impromptu portraits to just kind of activate that space. And for that moment, people who wouldn't have otherwise spoken to each other now are connected through the creative process. And we're not talking politics, we're not talking black, white, gray, blue, whatever. We're just present in the moment and in the presence of something that's for the greater good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's truly beautiful.
Are there any like I don't want to say rituals for lack of a better word, but I guess any particular processes or things that you do to kind of get into the
Like when you
zone?
go up to bat, do you have like you know what I'm saying? Like
right?
you're like day of, you're kind of like stepping up to the plate. You're like, yo, you look at this wall and you're like, I'm gonna hit a home run. You know,
Oh,
you're like,
every time.
Psych yourself
Every
up,
time.
you know, like
it's like a song or like a what? I don't know. I'm so
A
curious.
walk-up song?
Yeah,
Is that a walk-up song?
or whatever. Whatever.
What is the wrong?
bring them out, bring them out.
Right?
is like,
Right,
oh,
right.
Yeah.
Another one. No, I think just grounding myself with the space and developing a relationship with the space. I usually kind of literally like touch the wall and just kind of connect, ground myself. But I think, there's a lot of artists I think that, will have the headphones and kind of rock that, which is cool. Everyone's got their process, but I actually like to hear the soundtrack of the city. I like to hear the sirens, the voices. Even if I'm, 10 stories above you.
Yeah.
It's all part of that present moment. So for me, I like kind of keeping people within arm's reach instead of at arm's length.
I see.
Yeah.
Especially because you're freehanding it all, like you're taking in that energy, and everything is kind of like flowing through
Present.
you.
Being present, it's so important.
Wow.
And like, not only do I make a living and have a I don't want to say goal, but like my mission in life is about being present with my work. It's like we're one and the same. Like even when I put the brush down, how would it not permeate into the other aspects of my life being present? So it's super important to me.
Yeah, most definitely. It's like I think a lot of like especially creative people, they struggle with that one-to-oneness of like flow state, to be as present as you are in terms of like taking everything in and having that react in a positive way. I know it's like kind of something that we all kind of like struggle with if we're kind of like developing, and it's great that like you're such a positive representation for that, and you're explaining it to us like in such an interesting way, because I know it's like it almost seems like a hurdle at like cradle. Was it ever a hurdle for you, like like an obstacle earlier on, or
being present?
Oh no, I mean like because I mean like, have you always been present?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. See, I would say like that's a gift.
See, but I don't know any other way.
You're right.
I'm a chopstick and soy sauce away from like the raddest fortune you've ever seen.
That's so amazing, right?
No, I've always just allow the moment to kind of inform my speech, my process, the way I'm articulating it all through marks, through words, through fashion.
For sure. If you had to give like a small tidbit of advice to like other creatives to like get to where you're at in terms of like that flow state, what would you do to clear their mind?
I would say you have to commit, and there's no shortcuts. You have to be fully committed and be true to your work, and your work will be true to you, which means you get out what you put in. So there's and it's not about measuring yourself up against anyone else. It's about where you want to be for yourself. Don't think about who you're going to show it to or who's going to see it. Just think about what you demand out of yourself. Challenge the space, challenge the materials, challenge the subject matter, so that you can get the best out of yourself. And if you want to show it to somebody, show it to somebody. And and you know, I think that in this day and age, creative control is paramount for artists, and need to learn to be more in control of themselves as an artist, to have creative freedom. You know, control. I mean, like, without being under the thumb of an agent or a manager or a gallery, someone that's driving you or pointing you in the direction that they think will drive your sales or where you should be. You know, you should be more in touch with it's my belief that you should be more in touch with, you know, your constitution and what you want to say. And fortunately for me, I've been able to do work that only speaks to that constitution, and I've walked away from works or from opportunities that would have paid really well or would have been great on one front, but the returns were short. We're kind of short-lived. We're short-sighted.
Yeah.
I'm more into the longer term, long return goals that conserve your soul.
Yeah.
I love that you call it a constitution. It's like your values, your principles.
It's because it's personal. You know, it's personal. It's what you believe.
Yeah.
And when someone tells you to believe, even the work that I create, I have a mural that's on the Berlin Wall. I have a mural that's on the Palestinian separation wall. But I'm not telling you what you should be thinking. I'm opening up the discussion and allowing you to walk down that path on your own, and you know, being able to explore, investigate, educate yourself. But the conversation is there, and we should still be able to have that.
I feel like that takes like a very high level of awareness to, I guess, have that intention, and even that, like I said, just awareness of, I guess, your art as not telling, but just kind of opening up the conversation. Have you kind of always had that perspective on your art, or did that develop over time where you just understood more and more of, like, you know, this is for...
It's a little bit of both. I think my public mural work really, and why it's so important, is that it gives access to people who wouldn't otherwise, to the arts, to people who wouldn't otherwise feel like going to a gallery or going to a museum is inviting to them. So accessibility to the arts, especially growing up in the inner city, is really important to me. Art for everyone. So creating work where everybody could kind of partake in the creative process and the creation of it is really important to me, and why I think I'm kind of an artist for the people, and why I'm so embedded with the community, because we are together in all of these murals and all of these experiences. I mean, that's what drives it, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to be a part of. I wish, you know, I can't imagine, I've said this already before, but I just can't imagine doing anything else where I wasn't advocating for the greater good.
Yeah, that's real. I think one challenge that a lot of artists have is being able to also develop their business sense as well. For you, as like an artist who's able to, you know, do art full-time as your career, and you don't have to get too in the weeds, but I guess what advice or maybe tidbits would you share with like the next artist who's really working hard to develop their craft, but they're struggling or having challenges kind of developing that other part of their career?
Keep working hard, work harder, and then work even harder than that. That's what I would say. And when it comes down to, because you're not gonna, I think in this day and age, there's also people want quick returns on things. You know, how do I get to here. Well, you're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to put in the work. No. But how do I? But how do I get to here? Because they don't want to hear this. And then after a while, they're like, well, damn, that's a lot of work. Okay, well, I'll be a producer then. So that is,
Whatever,
I'll be
yeah.
this or I'll be that. Because it's and then they're not committed. You have to commit.
Yeah.
But that comes at an early age. I think people, I think people know who they are when it comes to artists. I think they really know who they are at an early age and what that calling is. However far they want to take it, that's up to them. But but I do think it's important to maintain creative control of your work, of your brand, which could be your name, could be your likeness, could be your message. That way, there's no one kind of telling you, no, maybe you shouldn't do that work that was that philanthropic work because it's not a good look. We're trying to drive up your sales over here, and that would make it seem like you're just giving away the art if you're just drawing on the corner there. How are we going to charge X amount of dollars over here with these kind of corporate entities? And again, not having someone being aware of who you are and what your message is and what you want to put out there. If you want to draw on the corner because you want to activate that space and connect with the people, you don't have to give the work away because that costs money. But the experience, I mean, that's an intangible that goes a long way. But if someone wants to, and you want to do that on your own, awesome. But if someone says, hey, why don't you paint on this corner? I mean, you did it on that corner. Well, you're going to have to pay me to paint on that corner. But that's also a sense of worth. But you have to build to that. I think a lot of people have to build their portfolios to be able to kind of charge the prices that they want to charge. I think the art buyer is also really savvy these days, where they're not just going to look at a number that you slap on, thinking that someone's going to buy it. People are going to research your history and see what qualifies that work. What have you done to build up to that? Just like a sports figure would command X amount of dollars because they're hitting a certain percentage.
Most definitely. It kind of reminds me of how like Pablo Picasso was like in a park and a lady asked him for a drawing, and he did a quick drawing. He's like, oh, that'll be $5,000. He's like, why is it $5,000? It's like, oh, it's because it's like my life's work up until this point, and then it also kind of makes me think about what's kind of happening now with like Hayao Miyazaki's work and like AI, how the people are just Ghiblifying people's pictures and stuff. What's your opinion of like kind of like that, like I feel like a very shortcut way to get art?
Well, to the first to the park encounter, when the lady asks him I want to buy this work, how much would it be? And if she's shocked at the sticker price, I'd also say, well, why'd you want to buy the work in the first place? It was something that made her want to buy it, right? But plagiarism and the business of art, sometimes gets in the way of a lot of creative things, actually. And someone like Miyazaki, like the style is so stylized that it could be kind of like forged or plagiarized and taken advantage of. And I mean, that goes for a lot of work, but I don't think it's not right. I don't think it's cool. I think every artist should get paid for what they do, what original art, that concepts that they put out there. Even if you're drawing in someone's style, I think that's a little I don't know, that's a little much. But there's also the saying where some people will say copy, right? And then develop your own style based on that. I mean, we're all influenced by something or different entities, and it's okay to be inspired. I mean, we're all inspired, but how do you
Yeah,
develop your own voice, I think, is important.
most definitely.
But I think what you're talking about is
sure.
something that's about about profiting.
Yeah, right.
And that's
Like,
it's just not cool.
super
But I don't know how you regulate that.
Yeah, I think it's just something that's like so new that's happening, and I feel like most of the people who do drop those filters, or like they have like, you know, send out those prompts, they're not really like creative to it. Wow, this is fun.
Comes with the
Yeah.
territory.
I mean,
You know what?
Yeah.
This is
the joy of
this is
being
the
out here.
energy of the street, you know?
Alive.
Right?
That's what I
It's
want to
alive.
hear when I'm painting.
Yeah, he's like, you know,
It's
he's just trying to make a left turn.
We're just
You know?
doing art right now.
Yeah, we're
taking
doing
in
art right
the
now.
environment.
Taking it
The
in.
smog.
Audible. Yeah. Got the black lung pop. No. But like, I was just curious because it seems like something that like a lot of artists are talking about right now. But I don't want to kind of like bring it to that and kind of like talk too much about AI. But like you were talking about how, you know, like artist copy and stuff. Like, who are some of like your influences like growing up and kind of like enhancing with your style? You know, like that you really like.
Or where do you find
Yeah, like-
inspiration outside of, you know, being immersed in, you know,
Well,
wherever you are?
My answer to both those questions is that I didn't really look to other visual artists as you know, as I mean, I was inspired, sure, but my real inspirations came from people who did something completely different than visual art.
Huh.
You know, whether it was music or it was a good book or it's you know, set design or it's fashion or it's just a good conversation. All of that is much more interesting for me than necessarily going to look at other people's work. That being said, I love going to the museum, of course, and I love looking at work. But I think the work that I'm more interested in at this point right now is looking at cultural work, looking at work that really speaks to the art history of just civilizations, especially when I'm painting kind of Toltec monuments like the one behind me that make a statement that we were here. I mean, this is my pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, that
yeah.
says we were here. This is my that I'm creating all over the world of people in those communities. I think those are the things that I find interesting at the moment.
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah. And that's cool you mentioned that, because that's like what I feel when I look at your art and when I look at like just the representations of, it's almost, like
It's
statement,
real.
we were here.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Like,
real.
Yeah,
like,
we were
that's
here.
how I feel like whenever it's just very human. I don't know. It's very, you do
Yeah, and
amazing
little
work.
things like say even the shape of Mount Fuji behind me. Thinking about Mount Fuji has a very particular shape. You know, you can't just go like this. Even some ukiyo-e pieces, woodblock prints of the early mid 1800s have a very stylized shape, but there's some that are very particular. And you know, the Japanese community in particular would know whether that's just a gaijin creating that shape, or it's like, no, that's definitely the way it looks when you're on the Shinkansen going from Tokyo to Kyoto. You know? Okay, he knows.
Yeah.
Or even someone's going back to the expression and the human element of Ohtani. I mean, he's so revered in the community. Like, he's got to look. How do you achieve that? He's got to look both powerful, yet he's got to also look very innocent. He's got to look pure, but he's got to be like both, both a tiger as well as like, zen when he's at bat there. You know, not just like the kind of fire we want to see in all of our works. You know, that Mamba mentality kind of face, which I see some things out there that look like that, but. You know, you have to consider the community that's looking at these pieces that holds them in a certain regard, and what, through their lens, they see, and you got to think about that. Yeah. And again, having had that experience, of those experiences in the community, and with him, I could see that it's a very particular face.
So your art's taken you like around the world. That's really incredible. When you were like just a young artist lad getting started,
Yes.
did you kind of see all of this?
Yes.
Or did you just know I'm going to do this
Yes.
for my life?
You manifested it.
Yes.
That's
Hell
tight.
Yeah, hell yeah.
No, there was no plan B.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like literally, there's
Yeah.
no plan B.
Yeah,
Respect.
I'm going to do this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this, but once you're at a certain point, it's like, and you have a platform, like, then it becomes like, now what do you do with it? Now how can you pay that forward? How can you help the next generation? How can you help and support the people around you, and use visual art to infuse business, small business here in Little Tokyo, and support community pride, citywide kind of unity, and support a player that's coming here to change the game, and then of course with the nod to Fernando Valenzuela on the other side of the bridge, also lift that community. Now once I got your attention with Ohtani, and then create not only kind of reimagine the First Street Bridge as the unity bridge, this kind of oneness bridge, where on your way to Dodger Stadium you could literally take a cruise through culture to get off on First Street, see Fernando, cross the bridge, see Ohtani, and you're going into two neighborhoods that have like so much history in Los Angeles on your way to watch history being made at the stadium.
Beautiful.
Sheesh. This guy's good.
Yeah.
right? Oh my goodness.
It's awesome.
I guess we're getting close towards the tail end of things, but it just adds to like a few more questions.
Sure, take your time.
Well, as far as like collaborating with other artists, how has that, I guess, process been for you? I'm assuming on some of the murals, or is that a part of your process?
No, I paint all my murals alone. But I would say the collaboration process for me is with the community when I'm conceptualizing these pieces, but also collaborating in different mediums. Like when I was just in Japan, in Tokyo, a couple of weeks ago, I collaborated with famous Japanese R&B singer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw
she's like
that.
the Lauryn Hill of Japan, and shout out to Ai-chan. She's got a brand new single called My Wish coming out that's going to be attached to a movie, and I just know it's going to be a hit, and I'm in the music video with her. But that kind of like cross-cultural, cross-pollination of the arts, creating these visuals with the audio. And again, East and Far East, East LA and Far East, Japan, creating this idea of unity, two people matching up, following their dreams and doing what they love. I find that my collabs usually are on that level with people on that front.
Got it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely. I guess talking about another collab that you did, because you were talking about all the murals that you have, like Boyle Heights and Little Tokyo, but you also did the mural inside Suihiro downtown LA.
Yes.
Can you please talk about like that and how that manifested? Because we're talking about, collaboration.
Being a long time supporter of Little Tokyo, coming to all the places here since I was a kid, and Suihiro being like a long-standing resident in Little Tokyo. When I found out that they were being evicted, this is a place that I really love to go. So even though they were going to move maybe about 4 blocks west of here, it's a completely different place for them. So I wanted to do something for them to be able to kind of give them a head start and create work that I thought, if people were supporting me and supporting what I'm doing, this is the way I could use my platform to kind of redirect that attention to an amazing family-owned business that's just trying to make it.
Yeah.
And that's another example of being able to use your art for something that's much bigger than just yourself.
So inspiring. I appreciate talking to you. It's been really awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I just
Thank you so
have
much.
two final questions.
Yes, let's
Either
go.
of you got?
No,
Think
go
about
ahead.
it. Think about
Okay,
it.
yeah.
I'm sure there's something there.
Yeah.
Go into
okay.
the vault.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to the next like creative or artist or person who's interested in pursuing their passion in whatever creative field or realm it may be? I guess what would you say to them? Because a lot of people I think could use like a word of
Yeah, I
encouragement.
mean, like I said earlier, follow your, be true to your work. Your work will be true to you. You know, you got to commit. That's so important. It's to, yeah, you have to do it. You have to do the work. You know, you can't look at the bike leaning up against the wall and then imagine what it can do. You have to get on the bike and then jump off the curb and do this, pop a wheelie, and then like, all right, I'm off and running. So you have to. So I don't believe. That being said, I don't believe in creative roadblocks.
Yeah.
I don't believe in anything like that. You have to rely on your working on technique. Just get your hands dirty, and then the ideas and everything else starts to come from that. You have to start building, and then it'll come.
Amazing.
So speaking of creative blocks and stuff, like, have you ever had moments where you,
I don't believe in them.
so you always known early on, it's just more of a
around.
yeah.
Maybe there's you're having. I mean, everything's a challenge. I don't look at it as I'm being like something's a block or
Gotcha.
something's in my way. I just look at what this is the challenge, and I'm going to like meet the challenge. I'm going to exceed the challenge, and I'm going to be on the other side of this with something that will make me look back at that and say, "Cool, that was just a building block for this. But not go. This is the ceiling. All right, come back. This is the ceiling.
Gotcha.
You gotta like." This is the ceiling, this is the edge, and from here to here, that's all new information. But if I let it go, then that's a wall, right? But this is new information that I didn't know. So the next time, I'm not gonna go from here to here, here to here. Okay, that's the edge, that's the edge. Now the edge is here. That much space, that's the edge now. Now that's the edge, and I'm using these moments as building blocks to pull from a toolbox of ideas, of approaches to something that you've done all your life. But you know, I could draw all 5 of you, but they'll all be different. But I've been drawing all my life. What if they look the same? No, because you're different. I don't know what I'm going to paint until I'm in that space in front of you, and then the moment dictates the approach. But it's your life experience that gets you to that place to be able to articulate what this feels like, what that looks like. That reminds me of this walk I had in Egypt. That reminds me of this, like, you know, this drive I took in Sweden, or this reminds me of, you know, I'm being in Boyle Heights, the way I would describe your hair. Like, you're pulling from these experiences. What does that feel like?
Have you always paid attention to the details of life? Like, is like,
Yes.
like the way that you just like described that and how you take in things, it's like something that I feel like I work to do and practice to do, and the whole thing about being present too. It's just like, I think the last few years for me have, you know, gotten me to this place where like everything you're saying makes sense, and I'm like, I totally get it, and I'm just like, it's really cool to hear you.
I think you're a lot closer to it than you realize.
Thanks.
You know, you just I think you're a lot closer to it than you realize. All of us. It's all there. You just tap into that. And just, you know, maybe
Take
slow
it in.
down a little bit. So you can like feel it.
For sure.
And hear it and see it.
Do you catch yourself a lot like paying attention to the language that you use? Like, just right now, you're like, I don't see it as like a block. I see it as like a challenge. Like, does that type of, is that something that you do often where, you know, some people just describe things a certain way and it's like kind of have like a negative like weight to it or perception, but like if you just reframe the words around it, it's like makes you, if that
Is
makes
that a
sense.
conscious like effort on your part, or do you feel
Be
naturally?
able to say what I mean and mean what I say.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's kind of a conscious, a concerted effort to do that.
Because like sometimes like you can naturally just be like, man, I don't know. I guess we don't need to beat it into the. But
How you doing? I'm okay.
Touche. That was good.
Like,
No, but yeah, but I mean, are you saying like to be negative? Like sometimes a response could be negative, or you're not thinking about.
I think like sometimes there's like common ways to say things that we like aren't fully aware of. Those common things can kind of like
like reframing something as this is impossible to being like this is a challenge.
yeah.
Instead of like
Right.
kind of reframing in your mind or
Yeah, to kind of reprogram your
Yeah.
head.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're on it. So you
Yeah.
just solve the equation. You just got to practice what you're asking.
I definitely practice. I was just
If you
wondering.
need the
like,
validation, yes. Reframe it and reset.
I was just wondering because I'm practicing, but it's like natural. So I was like,
Has that always been the way for you?
or did you kind of have to work to like kind of pay attention to how you like take in the world and
Everything's a
perceive
work in
things?
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think some people maybe have a fundamental understanding of certain things, but still, work to get there, but maybe get there a little faster. And then some people maybe they have to hit the wall a few times to be able to go, okay, that's not working for me. I gotta do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine too, as long as we're we're on a tilt and we're on our way somewhere versus just kind of plateauing.
Yeah.
So yeah, how's your tilt today?
Oh, my tilt has been, my
There
tilt
you
in
go.
life is,
There you go.
it's we're good.
Tilt. I love it. Yeah. So I'll go on to my final question, unless you guys have anything else you'd like to ask.
today.
Yeah.
I'm letting the other people
He's
shine,
vibing.
right?
Yeah.
I'm just
Look at
vibing.
him.
I already,
Yeah.
I talk too much as is, so
Yeah. So at Dipped, we have a philosophy and a mantra, and it's enjoy the trip. And so we like to ask anyone we sit down and talk with, what does enjoy the trip mean to you?
Just again, be present, being present. Not go too fast, not go too slow. And in art terms, knowing when to stop with your work when a piece is done, because there's nothing left to say, and you've said everything you can say, right? So that's enjoy the trip.
Yeah.
This has been a great trip.
Yeah.
Thank you for the experience.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Go Dodgers.
Yeah, go Dodgers.
Go
Let's
Dodgers.
go. That's a wrap. Yeah, go team.
Woo. Awesome.